there are so many things that have been happening to me, like this, when we talk about this going back or reverting into an inner child state, where I just find myself sometimes so overwhelmed, and sometimes I feel like I just want to give up on life, and then sometimes I would feel like I fear, and it is irrational fear. Like I used to compare my dad with other male people in my life. So anytime I would see them, I would revert into a child, and I would actually want to hide. And there are times when Grace knows I've hidden in the toilet, So those were the things that were happening. And I remember the hugest, the one that was so seen, like people could see it so much, was my relationship in church. I would go to church and I want to hide myself, like I want to mask up and wear shades, and then I'm an active member in church, so then it just shows that this person is not okay. And then also there's a time I was to be baptized. That was last year in May, and I was just I started crying, and I didn't want, like I was so scared and afraid. So these are some of the things that have been happening. When I went to Kabarak, I would see male people, and instead of seeing them, I see my dad, and I revert into a child state. Like I just behave like a child. Grace sometimes tells me, like even my face changes, and my tone, I start speaking like a child, like I don't want this, please don't do this to me, please, I revert into that. So I have been working through reparenting myself, and one of the things that I have done, and I'm doing so much, is self-talk. Every time I'm feeling like when that path of being lost and feeling like the adults are against me, or my past is really bullying my mind, I do self-talk. Like I start talking to myself like I would talk to a child, the way I tell them it is okay, and you're not going to drown in this, and you're going to overcome this. And so that is what I have been doing a lot, and just making my inner child feel like she is accepted and she is wanted, and like she doesn't have to fight so hard, and she doesn't have to beat herself so hard to make her feel like she is losing, and she has always been a loser, and also knowing that now I am an adult, I am 28, and the 28 me has to merge the young child that was wounded and hurt growing up, and has now to make her feel like she is valid, and her feelings are valid, and I am there to nurture and to work with her, and I am there to make her feel like she is needed in the world. Okay. Yeah.
I like that. And Grace, you've heard what Mwalimu has said.
Yes.
And she's been talking, she constantly mentioning reverting into a child state. And for those listeners who are wondering, Bram, what does this child state look like? And I'm a grown up. And how do you say reverting?
Right. Now, child states are when you revert into a space where you feel out of control.
All right.
And you think that you are in danger. And so the actions, the way that you will talk, the way that you will act, will be in a way that you cannot regulate yourself. As grown-ups, kuna vile you can control yourself.
Yeah.
But when you go into a child state, you are out of control, and you will, depending on your personality, depending on what your traumas are, depending on your unhealed pain, you are going to act in certain ways that are childish.
All right.
You see? So anybody who's listening, now ukipata, when you get angry, you throw things, you break things, you are acting like a child. You have reverted into a child state. Okay. But because you are grown up, your body is going, because as a child you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So when your dad yelled at you, your mom yelled at you, your uncle did whatever, and your auntie, whoever, did whatever. And some of us, we were humiliated at school.
Yeah.
But you couldn't fight the teacher.
That is true.
But now that you are grown, you live your life on autopilot, and you are self-preserving all the time, that when you experience a feeling that this is not a safe space, kuna mtu ameni disrespect, atani disrespect, ananiona vibaya, they are looking down on me, all that, as men you will be aggressive.
Okay.
You see? And some women are too. But most women, they will regress back into themselves, into their shell. They hide. There is a lot of shame. And so they go into that child's space.
Okay.
Now, there is something else about this. It's what we call ego responses or trauma responses. There is also, now when Deborah says that I will regress into a child state, in her mind, she becomes her parent, the negative one.
All right.
The one that says the condemnation, the humiliation, the threatening, the shaming.
Yeah.
So in her mind, even though she's not fighting the person who has triggered her, what she does, she starts fighting with herself.
Okay.
So the negative thinking, the judging of self, and also the feeling of I'm not like others. So comparing yourself with other people. That is going to happen in the mind of the person who has reverted into a child state.
And that is how self-sabotage is birthed?
Kabisa.
Okay.
Because you remember what you were told. So when Mwalimu Deborah is doing so well, and she has blessed people because she is talented, she is gifted, she has been given favor by God to touch lives. When she is triggered by one person in that group that says something negative or that just acts in a way to show disapproval, immediately the brain picks up the voice of dad, the voice of mom, the voice of anybody else who put her down as a child, and she begins to do that to herself.
Okay.
You see? So this is why therapy becomes very important. And I do think that maybe, Deborah, you can also share how you have learned. You see, this self-talk, there is a lot of work that comes before she is able to automatically come to tell herself that's not true.
Okay.
Because there has been a journey of identifying and confronting when it is her voice that has adopted dad's or mom's or whoever's voice.
Exactly.
You see, so this self-awareness is now what causes her to start the journey of self-affirmation, self-acceptance, self-compassion. Na watu waende kwa YouTube waone tumefanya videos together, and she has talked about how she deals with self-hatred.
YouTube inaitwaje?
Live by Design.
Live by Design.
Design with Grace Kariuki.
Check it out, my dear listener. Check it out as we continue this conversation.
Yes.
So, Mwalimu, take us through that.
Yeah, okay, so this is what used to happen with me. I would start when I'm triggered. I would start feeling having that feeling of I'm feeling bad, and I start condemning myself, and I would pick something. For example, when I have failed in something, like my dad used to really want me to perform like really well. So anytime I would mess up or do something that is I would not perform so well, it would be something like he would pick a fight from that, and he would really beat me badly. So now there are these moments when somebody triggers me, maybe says something, we are in a ministry or somewhere, and somebody says something, and I start condemning myself. So what my therapist has been doing is asking me, is that your voice or your dad's voice? And then there's another question that she has always asked, what is the truth? So I had to learn some facts, the truths, and some things that are just the things that happened in the past and the things that are now I'm calling bullying my mind, you know. So the more I learned about this is not a truth, you know. Every time I do something and I have not done it so well and I'm condemning myself, I'm feeling so bad about it, Grace will ask me, but what is the truth, you know? Did you try? Did you do your best? Because you cannot just go somewhere to fail. You know, you cannot just start something that, you know, I'm just doing it and I want to fail. There is always that urge in you that you are doing it to do so well. So every time I am aware that this is the truth and this is the irrational fear or the condemnation or the self-hatred, then every time I'm feeling like I didn't do this thing well, and I think also having a therapist in check is good, because most of the time I even pick on something that has happened and I ask her, do you think, like a few days ago I was asking her, I responded to someone and I asked her, do you think I responded rudely? And she was like, why do you say that? Why do you think you responded rudely? And then we start thinking through, like, what is the truth? And actually, just it comes like an aha moment. Right. You know, you realize I actually spoke my mind and it was just the right way. It wasn't rude. It wasn't disrespectful. You know. So then now I can talk to myself and tell myself, yes, you did the right thing, and you are just expressing yourself, and you're not supposed to beat yourself in this way. And so now I have a lot of self-compassion towards myself, and because if I don't do that, if I don't have the self-compassion, I end up feeling bad and sad, and like the world hurts me, and like I don't have a voice, and you know, those feelings and the thoughts, they can now lead you into a depressive state. Because now you start self-hating, and some people now go into mutilation, you know, anaanza kujikatakata. Some of them withdraw, they don't want people, and now the depression gets worse, and by the time they realize it, they are maybe in a mental hospital or they are out of control.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that, Grace.
Yes.
You see, Grace, what you're talking about here is so deep. And I really appreciate you for giving me an opportunity to meet you and your group on the ground on Saturday. I could see some of these things face to face.
Yeah.
When we come here and talk about parents wounding their children, you see, it might just seem theoretical.
Yes.
Especially sisi kama Wakristo, parents don't hurt their children.
Yeah.
These things do happen.
Yes, they do. They do.
Ask Grace, we have seen these things. Okay,
Yes.
where girls are saying that their dads have abandoned them.
Yes.
Okay, girls saying their moms have abandoned them. In similar way, boys do go through such a case.
Yeah.
Now, what Deborah is just talking about here is deep childhood wounds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Grace, take us through some of the emotional effects of childhood wounds.
Yeah. Now, some of the emotional effects that you're hearing Deborah talk about is inability to regulate how you feel.
Okay.
Now, I need to also quantify that by saying your temperament, and this is very important because I talk about temperament so much. Kwa sababu there is no way you are going to fix anything unless you are self-aware.
That is true.
Self-awareness is the first step towards now healing. But the second step, which is hardest now for anybody who has a traumatic past, is self-regulation.
Okay.
Because the emotional space that we end up in when we are being abused is almost like a safety space where you are able to, you allow yourself to, because the emotions help you to protect yourself in a way.
Yeah.
You see, so and then also to realize that it is normal for you when you are abused to cry out. And now with Deborah's story, and the story that I hear a lot is that you dare cry, I'll give you more reason to cry. You see, yeah, or you are told, why are you sad? I'm gonna give you a reason to even be sadder. You see, so when that is number one, bullying, and number two, it is violence towards the soul of that child.
Okay.
So what happens is that the child is forced to really have no ability to regulate emotions.
Right.
Emotions are a way of our system to be able to communicate what is going on within. Now, yesterday, my son was reading one of my searches on Google because I was searching. There is something we call the shadow self.
Okay.
The shadow self is your inner life that nobody can see. You see?
Okay.
So there is always Grace that you see every day, but you have no idea what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
Because we know how to wear masks.
True.
And we look all put together and everything. But your shadow self is where you have everything that triggers how you act. And that is why it's important as you are doing your healing, your childhood healing, to also understand your mom and dad, they had a shadow self.
All right.
And sometimes all the time, when they overreact to you, they are projecting their own pain to you.
Okay.
So that now we work on not personalizing this, because sometimes these individuals are dealing with their own inability to regulate their own emotions. One of the things that emotionally happens to an individual who has trauma, and especially complex trauma. Now, complex trauma is where you have experienced multiple traumatic experiences over the span of your life.
Okay.
So when you experience that, there is no one who comes and helps you to regulate your emotions. Okay. So you learn that emotions are bad, emotions mean this or that, and that's why Deborah is saying we have had to work, and we still do, to ask yes, you feel that way, but what is the fact?
Okay.
You see, but people who have emotional dysregulation, because when they were children, emotions were triggered and they were never resolved.
Yeah.
Now, when she comes to now as an adult, when she comes now to trauma healing process, the therapy, what is going to happen? Her inner child begins to release the emotions that have been suppressed for so long. Okay. So that is why she goes back into a child state. Because those emotions were never ever dealt with. Now in PTSD, when we are dealing with one of the reasons why individuals will not go back and look at their past is the fear that the emotions will come overwhelming. So they are going to fungia. In fact, recently somebody asked me, Grace, is there any way we can just bypass this inner child? I said, unfortunately, that's your shadow self.
Look at that.
That is part of your shadow self, and you need to confront that self, because every time you want to actualize, they show up and they remind you, hey, by the way, what if you succeed and then you fail?
Yeah.
What if so-and-so hears about what you're doing and then or somebody comes. Me, I know I have been trying to write a book and I have finished the manual. But then I had a conversation with somebody who's close to me, and they asked me some very serious questions about do you have an audience, all that stuff, because he's in the books business. And I thought to myself, I have not even thought about that. Then he asked me, so what is your investment and what is your return? And I'm telling you, I shelved the book because my inner child showed up and said, yes, Grace, you have not thought about that. You will, and the negative continues. Now, I have worked through that, and very soon I will.
I can't wait.
Very soon. Soon. The last soon. So we do need to understand that when our emotions are triggered and we return into a doubting space, we return into a space where we feel humiliated and ashamed, then we will not be able to move on. Our emotions overwhelm the mind, and we are not able to create the wise mind.
Right.
What I tell my clients and what I tell myself, there are two truths. That it is true that you feel humiliated. That's a truth.
Yeah.
But there is also another truth, which is now what Deborah was asking. Because the truth is I'm feeling humiliated, but am I really humiliated? So the truth is to look at the current time. So there is that truth about trigger, but then there is the truth about me and Bramwell. As we were talking, he triggered me. Did he mean to humiliate me the same way I was humiliated in the past.
Wow.
Because the people who, especially parents, who beat us, out of, kuna wale walituchapa tu wakatuchapa, lakini kuna wale ambao sasa wameweka vidonda. You see, I usually ask people, like the way Deborah you were saying, I usually ask people who, when you are beaten by your father, are there words accompanying the beating?
Of course.
See, that is even worse.
Yeah.
Because while you are beating me, you are also destroying my soul.
Exactly.
You see, and you are telling me you are not worthy anything. There is something wrong with you. Sijui hata wewe ni nani. Unaona? So when that happens, and also I think it is important for mothers to also understand, because mothers, we may not beat as much, but we use the tongue.
Yes.
And it is so devastating to a child to hear your parent calling you mjinga, kwenda huko mbuzi wewe, mbwa, all that. You cannot raise a child who is going to be to have confidence in who they are when you have just called them a dog. You see. Or you have called mujinga. You see.
Yeah, I remember there's a time when my mom used to use that phrase mbwa and takataka a lot. Like she would call you mbwa, mjinga, takataka ya mtu. That is how the flow of the insults would go. And we used to have a black dog. So I developed a lot of hatred towards the dog. Na nilikuwa naipiga na shangaa kwani I'm like this dog, Yeah.
I like that. You see, Grace, and as far as we're talking about this, there is something that really excited me on Saturday when we were seated. When I was thinking through the questions. Remember you gave us an assignment?
Yes.
By the way, my dear listener, tulipewa assignment. Hey. You see, you are allowing these ladies and gentlemen to share their feelings on how they are feeling about their dads or their moms who hurt them.
Yes.
Okay? And that is the very thing that we've just mentioned here, that yes, our parents did whatever they did, but that was their shadow self.
Yes.
Okay? So you are giving us an opportunity to humanize our parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is very important.
Yes.
Like other people will tell you, just cut them off.
And you see, a lot of us, we can't do that. We cannot cut off our parents because we have codependency issues, which is part of the psychological and emotional impact of abuse.
Okay.
When the thing with Deborah, we actually identify Deborah has not seen her father in 14 years, but you see, he is very present. He was, actually we should say he was, because currently she has really risen above that.
Okay.
But I used to ask her, what do you think is the reason why he still has such a big hold on your life today, even though you haven't seen him in 14 years. You see, because there is a codependency that happens when we are in people who are supposed to be our caregivers as children, and they create havoc on us, our soul, our mental, our emotional health, and our physical safety. We become almost like dependent on them. So what happens, we develop what we call the Stockholm syndrome, where you see them as they have such power over you, you cannot survive without them. Now physically, you've already moved on.
Exactly.
They are not in your life, but mentally and emotionally, because of the trauma that has not been processed. Anytime you are triggered to remember, or to remember what happened, you relive it as if it's happening again. You see, so now the job to disconnect with that dependence. Because you see, you couldn't do anything. I mean, you're 9 years old? Where will you go? Utachapwa. In fact, I remember you telling me about unawekwa nje, unalala hapo nje ya mlango. And how many people, the Deborah story is not the first one I have had in counseling, where when your mother, I had a young man one time, when the mother would get really upset, and this is what I'm calling emotional dysregulation, she would get really upset, he would be beaten, and then he would be put outside the door. Ulale hapo, hakuna blanketi, hakuna anything, you sleep there until morning, and you are 10 years old. What? Can you imagine how terrified
it is
that child is? Hiyo sasa isiyo ni Al-Shabaab.
That is true.
That is terrorism. And we parents are walking around here doing stuff like that to our children. Imagine. And we say that tunawafundisha adabu gani? Sasa ukiangalia, wacha nikwambie Bramo, there is nothing that we do in our adult life unless we are healed that is not connected with what we were done. Ukiangalia huyo mzee mwenye ana terrorize nyumba yake hivyo, utakuja kuona alikuwa terrorize mwenyewe. Because if there is no healing, if there is no confronting of what you went through, what is going to happen is that you will trigger your memory, and then your memory, because it's full of strong emotion, it is going to flood and overwhelmed your logical mind, and you cannot do anything except what the subconscious mind has brought up. And
that is how we are transferring dysfunctions to our generation. And talking about that, Grace, I really pray that we break the cycle, especially to us parents. We as grown-ups, most of us never witnessed an adult who could regulate
themselves. Now, unaona sasa, when we talk about how we raise our children, training of children includes modeling. Because we can tell them all we want, the right things. I hear parents telling me this a lot about their children who are below the age of 15. I keep telling, and I say it's time to show. So you have a fear of the night, and your child is also afraid of the night. You yourself, as a child, you used to feel that way. So I say, how about share that part of yourself and give the child what you thought could have helped you with the terror. So me, what I would have wanted my mother to do, because I used to have the terror of the night, I would have wanted her to hold me, to tell me it's gonna be okay, to pray for me, and then I go back to sleep. But what did she do? She dismissed me. And in fact, I got punished. Now, you see, when Deborah, you revert into a child state and she starts to run away, hide from people who trigger the pain or the terror of being in dad's presence, what she usually does, because I will ask her, what are you afraid they will do? And then immediately you hear that, watanichapa. And then you, why? What wrong have you done? And that is the process of dealing with emotional reactions that cause us not to be okay. Even guilt, people please us. So you are feeling guilty because you know, like setting a boundary, like sharing your honest truth, and you feel guilty. Why? Because you are used to, if you say something that you think is not going to be acceptable to the other person, immediately you go into fear of retaliation, of punishment, of humiliation, whatever it is that you experience.
Exactly.
You see? And this is why personal healing is so important. And I want men to hear me. You men, you know how to mask so badly. The thing is, if you have a wife, and you have a good wife, and you have a good family, but you keep finding yourself chasing after those cats out there. The problem you have is that you have not confronted your shadow self. And every time your wife wants to talk about something, because maybe you married a woman who is a problem solver. Wewe unapendanga tu, tusionge mambo, you know, and you keep going and coming home at 11. Kwa sababu ama 3 a.m. siku hizi nimesikia that's the golden hour now. You know, a family man who's coming home at 3 a.m. So whenever you do that, you need to confront your shadow self and ask, what are you running away from? Because naturally, Bramwell, watu waangalie my shorts, my TikTok for this week. Kuna tumeongea mambo ya the needs of a man in a relationship. One of them ni a good home. Yani anataka tu akimaliza kazi ende nyumbani. Lakini kama wewe unamalizanga kazi unaenda kwa bar, something is not right. Confront your shadow self.
I like that. You see, Grace, in as far as you're talking, one thing that I like, and you've really helped Deborah, it is not just about healing.
Yes.
You know, mtu akimwangalia, he's a lively soul.
Yes.
Anakasirikanga kweli. One thing that I can get from her is that you are equipping her with the skills. Okay? The skills, can I call them emotional intelligence skills? Or relational skills?
Yes.
And that is exactly what most of us don't have. Okay? And one thing that I want you to talk about is most of the children who have been exposed to unfriendly environments. They are lacking some of these skills that Deborah has. Talk to us about that.
Right. So emotional regulation in emotional intelligence, there is emotional regulation, and that is the key. Because every time you get overwhelmed by the emotion, you will always abandon yourself.
True.
How many people is somebody triggers you, and then you can't regulate yourself, and what do? You overreact. And then it becomes you are the one who is the problem. You see? Sasa wewe mwenyewe unajiweka kwa hiyo shida. So emotional regulation is a skill. And Deborah has really talked about the steps. Umesikia?
Yes.
It's self-talk. Why is this causing me so much stress? What is it about this thing, this person, that has made me feel so out of space? So what are you doing? You are giving yourself an opportunity to embrace you and to sit with that anxiety kidogo. Because the moment you reach out, you now react to the other person, you abandon yourself. Because the fire continues to be big, and then you are going to be left so broken. And even now you will sit and start feeling guilty. You see? So the these cycles of attack and reactivity. You react, I react, we react, everybody reacts. There is no safety. We don't create any safety. So what we want to do is self-regulation is one of the skills. And anybody who likes to do self-work, go to the internet and just type that. And utashanga how much those things are. So one of the things that Deborah, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, especially the bringing your body back to relaxation. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, there are so many things that can help you relax your body. Like I do coloring. I bought a mandala. It's a big book, an adult book for coloring. So when I feel like I need something to relax my mind and just to calm down, I can color. Or I can also do ballet. And I have become so big nowadays. I do. And then you can do yoga. Okay, yoga, some people have issues with yoga. They talk about the spirits and whatever. But I think the motive is what matters.
Exactly.
Yeah, why you are doing. For me, I do it just to stretch my body, like to stretch and to relax and calm my body down. And sometimes you can also take a walk. Like I take a walk, I just walk. And you need to be very careful so that you don't dissociate, where you go and your mind is so blank so you cannot see things around and such things. So you can also take a walk to relax yourself, or make yourself a drink. Sometimes I just make some nice coffee.
For me, I cook.
Or you cook. Recently I have been making chapatis in the house, and I find it so relaxing, just making that knee and then kneading and then letting it stay, and then now you start rolling. So your mind just calms down, and sometimes you are playing some music, or if you have children, or if you can you can access children. then interact with children. Yeah.
All
Where
right.
I stay, I have 2 boys. One is 14 and another one is 10. And sometimes we have very good conversations and interesting ones. And we also play games, or we just talk about things randomly,
Right.
and we laugh and we sing these songs that are just funny, that has, you can relate in there, you can make some noise, Yeah, so you can do these things and they will help you calm down. Sometimes some people is music. When you just listen to this music that is speaking to you, and you can connect and then just soak yourself there and then listen.
I was reading somewhere about also pets. Do pets help in regulating the nervous system?
Yesterday I went somewhere and I was talking to rabbits. someone told me umeboeka wewe, but to me it was so therapeutic. I was just looking at the rabbits. I showed my brother who is 10 last night, and he was laughing and saying, "This is so nice." I was just looking at the rabbit and telling the rabbit, "Hey, you are fat. Are you expectant or something?" And then I look at the others and you are cute, and it was just relaxing. And then just talking to the rabbits, touching them, and then I found a cat, a small kitten, and then I talked to the cat, I carried the cat, and it was just so relaxing. So sometimes we underestimate these things, but they help in regulation.
All right.
There is also something else. Talk about horse riding and swimming.
Yeah, horse riding and swimming. One of the challenges that personally I had was the fear of losing control.
Okay.
Like, you want to be control of everything, such that when something happens, you feel like, I should have done this, or I should, you start beating yourself. Like, and also sometimes you just want to have everything figured out, which can never happen. Everybody, I always say, everybody has something they're trying to figure it out. Everyone.
True. Yes.
Even the person that you think has everything, is well collected, there's something they are working on, So for me, I started doing horse riding a lot when I was in Nanyuki. When you sit on a horse, you have to let the horse move, in a direct. Okay. So you are there and the horse is moving, and of course you have those things that you control for it to turn this side and go this side, but allowing yourself to sit there and to relax and let it move makes you, so it makes you relax. And people who love swimming, and you don't have to love swimming, you can learn, because some people, I learned how to swim when I was 24.
Okay.
Yes, when I was 24. And I taught myself, So when you are in the water, you allow the waters to carry you. So there's a lot of relaxation that comes with, inakufunza ku let go of control, because you have to let the water. Nowadays I really enjoy the deep end. Hey, my God. I just love the deep end, the way the water carries you, and sometimes you just lie on your back and look at the skies and such things, and after 2 hours I'm so relaxed.
You see, mwalimu, mtu akisikiza pale nje anashangaa msana anasema nini. But you see, you are giving us hints that are going to train us to learn to let go.
Yes.
Some of us are holding on almost everything. And nothing is working. Okay?
Exactly.
That is our biggest problem, Grace. Now, Grace, I understand that those who didn't make it physically on Saturday, you hinted to me that you have something this Saturday?
Yes, we are going to do an online version of it.
All right.
We are going to do an online version of it from 8 p.m. And you need to maybe we should give Deborah, we should give your number. People can reach out to Deborah via WhatsApp and talk to her. We are going, it has a charge, but not as the other charge we had.
All right.
So if you are interested, reach out to Deborah. What's the number?
Deborah.
Yeah, you can reach out to me. My number is 0701 469644. 0701 469644. And for you to join our physical class, if you are held up this past Saturday and you want to join our physical class, you have to attend this online class. because we are building on what we talked about last time. So if you are not there is a lot of self-work we've given out. So you have to come with, so you cannot just decide that me nitaenda the second one, the one that we are holding in like 2 weeks time. When you come to that, we want you to come with your self-work, what you have done, and then these online people will also catch up with them and see what have you done, what did you find, and such things. It's something that is building up. So you have to like do the first class, the first session before you go to the second session.
My dear listener, that is the number 0701 469 644. That is the number. For those who've been asking, the number 0701 469 644. This coming Saturday, right from 8 p.m. Meet Grace and Deborah. Remember, I was there physically, and that is why I'm so excited. I didn't know that it was such a very, very, very important class for me to attend. You see, Grace, sometimes you never know who you are until you hear from somebody else.
Yes, absolutely.
Or you hear, we can reflect who we are based on the stories other people say.
Yes.
When Deborah is taking us through her journey as a child, I'm able to see myself.
Exactly.
Some things, but I can see.
And that is the thing that I normally tell Deborah, that her story is speaking for so many people. And I don't know if you are comfortable to talk about the post and what the comments. Maybe you can use that also as helping people understand how these negative experiences as children, how it really it destroys the soul.
It is true.
And every now and then, even during the healing process, there are times even when you have been healed that you will be triggered to revert. So I think that would be a good one. You don't have to say everything, but at least help people, because I know what Deborah you experienced. Me, I have also. There was a time I also, you post something on social media, and then everybody loves it, and then there is one person who questions you, and you pull it down. and that is also a response to trauma.
So what happened after our Saturday class, I posted, there is a friend of mine who was with me in high school, and she attended this healing seminar. So I got a picture. She was my best friend in high school. So I had a picture of us in 2010 when we were in Form 2, and now the Saturday one when we were healing and talking about this healing stuff. And so I explained so many things about how our life was and how now we are, and we are trying to heal, and we are in this together. And actually I said, I told my dear friend, I called her name, and I said, we trauma bonded in high school. Now let's trauma heal together. Now more than 100 people liked the post. And then very many people commented and said how that is good. And then they reminded us of our days. My high school friends reminded us of our days in school and such things. And then there's this one person who I really have respect for, he has like akona standards, and he's a person I respect so much. So he came there and he posted that, my sister, you should stop lamenting every time. That you should stop lamenting ati yaliyopita si ndwele, ati just be grateful. Person, where have I lamented? I just pulled a picture of us in 2010 and now us healing this time from this and this and this child trauma. And then this person now made me feel, out of all those comments and likes and loves and reactions, that one comment got into me, and I was thinking, I need to pull this post down. And then what Grace told me is like, all of us, the more than 100 people of us, we have reacted differently, and this one person is triggering you to pull it down. We must matter too. Like, why is this one person mattering more than us? We should matter too. So I did. So what I did, I deleted that comment, and then the post just remained there.
I like the way you jumped in. We should not at all. And there is something that she has said. You see, most of us, when we are telling our stories, there is somebody out there who's always ready to say, stop complaining.
Yeah.
Be grateful.
Yes. Now let me tell you where that comes from.
Yes.
When you are confronting your shadow self and you are showing your humanness, some people become very uncomfortable with that.
All right.
Because vulnerability brings shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whenever you find yourself saying, na huyu anapenda tu kusema negative, you need to ask yourself, their openness is causing me to feel what?
Yeah.
Okay.
They are triggering your own humanness, and you are afraid of being human. So you want that mask to stay on.
Wow.
You see?
Wow.
And until we are able, I remember we had EZA.
Yeah.
We had a program that we did for 8 weeks. By the way, us, we are in the healing business.
I like that.
Tunaenda kuhiliwa na sisi pia tuna heal. We are called wounded healers. Wounded warriors, wounded healers. Because there is no end to healing. Yeah. My friends, ukikuja kwa healing yetu, wacha nikuambie, life yako will never be the same again, and you can never go back to what you used to be.
Wow.
So you have to brave yourself.
Yes.
That it is a mind shift change, and it is also a lifestyle change. Because you are going to start living.
Yes.
Right now you are just surviving. One day at a time, kila kitu kinakuja, unaenda tu na flow. But if you start healing, be ready. Because you are going to be dislocated.
Yes.
And you will have to start really living, feeling, and actually not just feeling, but feeling and dealing with the feeling.
Yeah.
You see?
I like that. You see, our time is up, but there is something. There is something you mentioned on Saturday. I'll keep on going on to Saturday. I didn't know that these classes were so important. There is something that Grace mentioned, and I went home. When I was just strolling, I reflected. Sauti yangu ilikuwa tu kwa masikio that we are living two lives.
Yes.
Who we are as adults and the wounded
yes.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So most of us are trying to suppress the wounded us.
Kabisa.
And that is why we are uncomfortable
Yes.
with other people's stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is what the problem is.
Yes, because now it triggers your own brokenness. And
Yeah.
unasema, Deborah wacha kunikumbusha mambo yangu. Let's just be grateful that, and those are the sanguines and the cholerics.
All right.
Now with Deborah, she's a choleric melancholic.
All right.
So she cannot escape. Because the choleric wants to deal with the present and problem solve and let's move on. But the melancholic says we have to resolve some things.
Okay.
Let's clean up.
Powerful.
Let's clean up. So it's important for us to really give ourselves that gift.
Yeah.
Na ukifikiria Saturday, you need to reach out to us, your number ya Deborah. It's easier, or you can still send a message on my website.
Okay.
Because you need to start healing. And in the coming year, we are going to try and do healing for children.
All right. Very
Because
important,
if we as adults are dealing with this, can you imagine if we start helping our children to learn how to change their mindset at this point so that now, even in their adult life, they are not going to be dealing with the whole shebang.
Exactly.
You know, we normalize therapy and healing processes for them so that now by the time they are in their 20s, they are trying to adult, they are not carrying such a heavy burden.
I like that. Mwalimu, remind us the number.
Yeah, the number is 0701469644. 0701469644. And if you're just looking for a community where people can hold space for you and listen to you and validate what you went through and help you now heal through that, you are in the right place.
Alright, ndio wameanza kupiga already.
Watu wameanza kunipigia simu.
My dear, she's still on air, please.
Yeah, I'm still on air.
Sawa. So, my dear listener, this is the community that Grace and Deborah are building, all right?
Yeah.
A time has come where we need to confront the shadow selves, okay? This is the number to call, 0701-469-644. Saturday, 8 p.m. I will
Zoom.
be there. On Zoom. I will be there. Wait, mimi utakuwa nafungua watu mlango. I'll be admitting you on Zoom. I'll be there, okay? Because this is a work in progress. And there is no one who can say that I have nothing to heal from.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And did you know, my dear listener, who we choose to partner with is a reflection of our emotional development? Did you know that? And did you know that the more we mature, the more we attract the mature?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Did you know that the more we heal, the more we attract the healing?
Yes.
That is where I want you to get.
Yes.
Through this number, 0701-469-644, you get this golden opportunity.
Amen.
Usiseme Abraham hakutuambia na msilitafuta wakati mnafanya shughuli zangu. Abraham nataka namba ya Grace. This is the number we are giving right now.
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
thank you so much for
You
coming.
are so welcome.
Right.
Yes.
Mwalimu, looking forward to having you again.
Asante.
Thank you. Let us continue building a community.
Yes, we are building community and holding space for everyone.
All right. Asante sana Grace. We are going to be together on Saturday so that we can continue this beautiful gospel.
Yes.
My dear listener, that has been our time. I'll be coming back with the final hour of the morning tide.